Why zebras don't get ulcer? This is one of my favorite books which talks about stress and stress management in a more practical way. Now, today we are going to see one major takeaway from this book in this video. Hi, this is Dr. Venu, Yoga and Naturopathy consultant and a diabetes researcher. Zebras don't get ulcer. Now, what is the relation between ulcer, stress and diabetes? As a coping mechanism for stress, what body does is it tends to increase the blood pressure, sugar levels, everything goes high. And one thing that happens along with all these changes is the reduction in their digestive secretions, right? So this digestive secretions are directly associated with ulcer. Whenever the digestive secretions come down, naturally the bacteria, the H. pylori bacteria which causes ulcer tends to increase in number, right? So whenever we are stressed, this digestive fluid secretion comes down and naturally the ulcer causing organism tend to grow but higher, right? So I would like to share one interesting information about Hans Selye, who can be called as the father of modern psychology. He is basically a physiologist as such as well. Now, in the early days of discovery of insulin, the scientists were not aware of what exactly insulin does. So what they tend to, what they were doing is like they take buckets and buckets of insulin and they started to inject on the lab animals and check what changes is insulin making. So Hans Selye just got lab mouse. He's kind of the early stages or the early ages of his scientist career as such. So he was not good at handling these lab mouses. So whenever he tried to pick up a lab mouse, it tends to run. So he chases, grabs the lab mouse, takes up the insulin and injects it. And again, once again, the lab mouse tries to escape, and this running and chasing was going on and on and on. And on one fine day, when we're cutting all the rats and looking at the changes in the body, almost all lab mouse had ulcers. Okay, so he started to write conclusion saying like insulin causes ulcer, but thankfully he had a control group as well where he used to inject saline water into the lab mouses, and in those lab mouses, obviously he was the one who was handling those lab mouses as well. So those lab mouses also were having ulcers. So instead of saying it is not about the fluid which is being injected, it might be the stress which the lab mouse had undergone would have caused ulcer. So that was his hypothesis as such. So stress induces ulcer in this lab mouses, lab animals as such. And we are not going to talk much about ulcer over here. We are going to talk about stress and diabetes. Right? Now, going back to the book topic, why zebras don't get ulcer? So what the author state here is, the life of a zebra or any animal for that matter in a forest is, so this prey are always chased from morning till night by the predators, right? So they're being chased by the lion or the tiger. So these animals, let us not talk about other animals, this zebra in particular, these zebras in particular, so they are always chased by this lion or a tiger. After chasing, these zebras come back to the same grazing ground. They come back to the same grazing ground with all the wounds and other things. They come to the same grazing ground. And again, if a lion or a tiger comes again, it would run one more time. It would just run for its life one more time. If it survives, it again comes back to the same breeding ground. So what the author says over is, stress is definitely an integral part of life, right? Stress is definitely an integral part of life. So whenever we are stressed, that is the time when your sympathetic arousal should be higher. At that point of time, you have to be alert. At that point of time, you have to run away from the danger or fight the danger, face to face. But what happens, zebra does that perfectly. Like zebras, it is having its food, like when there's someone is chasing, it just runs and then comes back following its normal routine. But imagine a human being as such, a human being in that particular instance. So after escaping from the lion, that night, we would be sitting and planning how to avoid lion next day. What are the precautionary measures I should take? What are the ways to escape from the lion? What are the ways to attack the lion? What are the other ways to make a safer environment? That's how, like, from the cave we have come all the way to this particular room in which you are sitting and watching this. We have come up a long way. We have come up a long way. But when it comes to like exploring ourselves inside, what we call in yoga as swadhyaya, self-study, we have not evolved that much, right? We are not exactly aware of how to manage our stress. So in the name of planning and planning and planning, our mind is either in the future, what would I do if the lion comes again, what should I be doing, what are the things, what are the precaution measures. Our mind is either in the future or in the past. Oh my god, lion attacked me today, lion attacked me yesterday. So all this past thoughts have been running in our mind. If a mind is in future, that leads to anxiety and fear and worry. If the mind is in past, it would lead to depression. Either way, we will be in stress. But zebra does this thing absolutely perfectly. It lives in that present moment. That is something what we are lagging in our everyday life. Living in the present moment. And we cannot even think we are not in the midst of the lion and the tiger. What will I do if I have to plan for the future, I have to plan for the past. When you want to plan, sit and do the planning. Give a dedicated time for that planning. Just sit in front of your desk and whatever you want to plan for the next 1 or 2 hours, sit and plan for the next year or 2 ahead. Do not do your planning whenever you are driving. When we are driving our bike or car, whatever we are driving, we know where we are starting, we know where we are ending, but we absolutely have no clue what are things we saw in between, right? Because our mind is always in an autopilot mode. We start from a destination, point A to point B, without being aware of what exactly we are doing. Do not do that. Learn from the zebras. That is the reason why zebras don't get ulcer, they don't get stressed, because they live in the present moment. In yoga, we call it as mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ultimate essence of all different schools of yoga. Mindfulness is the ultimate thing, to be in the present, not in the past, not in the future. To be in the present is the ultimate thing, what we are learning from zebra, and learn from this book, why zebras don't get ulcer. Okay, so please be aware of where your mind is. At this present moment, is your mind thinking about the future or about the past? Bring it to the present. That is the best way to overcome stress. Okay, please do follow and practice, and post in the below comments on what are your personal experiences regarding mindfulness. Till then, thank you.